measures to enhance the protection of animals were really required in the assignment of rights acceptance of more responsibility. Human bears rights rather than the artificial conduct of the animals as bears' rights shall determine whether animals will be treated humanely. And an animal welfare approach also recognizes the moral status of animals by taking moral responsibility for them and retrieving themselves to the framework, because I'm actually going to be treating animals well and not causing them suffering, but I'm not actually giving them rights, even if there are some cases in which animal welfare means sacrificing animals. The same thing happens with the affirmative because of the AC framework. It admits that sometimes there's animal rights would be overridden by human interests, thus neither of us gets total solvency and get as much of the affable of winning all the disadvantages giving animals rights. And D's and net benefits. Since I achieve these same protections of the AC and risk of disadvantage giving animals rights is a reason to vote negative. And the rhetorical rhetoric focus on animal rights harms animals. Marcus. The public thinks that all animal rights activists are against any form of animal use, regardless of how much humans benefit. This makes animal rights philosophy poison to public debating. All the public hears were sound bites. Animal rights philosophy becomes a terrible liability for the defenders of animals. Farm interests have been able to rescue discussion from the brutal practice of animal agriculture into the thickets of animal rights philosophy. Activists should account for the suffering that occurs as possible to hold the spotlight on this cruelty when animal rights philosophy is involved in the argument. Thus, I have avoided solvency deaths to the AC because the AC can feel that the animal get rights, but particular rights or how those rights are enforced will depend on the policies of each society, so it solves better to go through animal welfare. And if he gets up here and claims that we just have the right to welfare, the fact that we're using the word rights like we are giving animals right to things like protection, still bites into harms that he can't just claim like they get moral status, which gets around it. Then, rights discourse creates the roots of progress and entrenches the system of domination. Bruce. Rights discourse contributes to passivity, alienation, a sense of inevitability, conflicting alternative interpretations of the same rights and always available language. Rights perpetuates the misconception that the legal argument is independent of political argument of social movements. Through rights change, those in power often grant strategic concessions or right to co-opt generally radical social movements. Progressives who use the language rights lend to support ideologies they must oppose. Opposed rights are determined to conceal the actual operations of power. Legal practices are less likely to provide avenues for challenging unfair social and economic hierarchies and focus on the law or reform that can divert and disengage those political movements. And animal welfare avoids the time to adopt language rights under welfare, and the animal treatment debate is always going on because the rights are not the final goal. Thus, there is no risk of prematurely any resistance to animal oppression. This brings back the AC because simply recognizing animal rights does not think about the form of the content of those rights or how they're going to be enforced. Thus, rights are counterproductive solvency mechanisms that close off alternative avenues of actual solvency. And it's especially keen in instances of extinction, because if the final goal is to stop us and all species from becoming extinct by using the rights discourse and the thing that we have to solve the problem when we actually might become extinct. Regardless, it shows this a giant impact. We can't talk about rights. We just talk about respecting animals so we stop extinction. And finally, giving animals rights achievements that die moral action disrupts the link between rights and responsibilities. Cup. The cost of assigning rights to animals is societal impact of lessening the connection between rights and responsibilities. Applying the rhetoric of rights to animals implicitly lessens the significance of moral behavior, since animals are not capable of moral behavior. Rights theorists want animals to seem like more like humans, but the inevitable result is either humans more like animals. The consequences of changing the rhetoric of rights attached from human concerns of moral agency will over time influence our thinking. Words and concepts matter in a world less emphasis on human dignity and moral responsibility would not be better. And this means that if this achieves the moral rhetoric, achieves the force of normativity, which is the only thing that's going to be stopping us from extinction because we have to respect other people, then this will give us a further link in extinction, because when we cheapen moral discourse, we are more likely to have things like extinctions we don't give a fuck. Then... I might as well end with that.
Next speech. Can you just organize the counterpoint?
Yeah.
I tried to do it, but I couldn't.
Question whether this
Try to do it,
is
but you couldn't.
Yeah.
There are page numbers, dude.
No, but I was trying to flow and do it. It's not like I was unable to say. Also, wait, this is mine.
Yes, that is yours.
Okay, cool. So what framework does the negative advocate?
Act. Utilitarianism.
So that's what the net benefit links into?
Yes, but it would probably also integral concepts.
So your Marcus Evans talks about how animal activists have problems because people associate them with disruption. Why does that apply to the AV?
Which the Marcus?
Yeah.
Marcus doesn't talk about animal rights activists in particular.
The public thinks all animal rights activists are the first 5 words of the 8th card.
Right. The rest of the card, come on now. The rest of the card talks about how when people who actually oppress animals, people who cause animal cruelty in
all this says is that it makes.
Oh, but look at animal rights.
Wait, but all this says is that it makes animal rights philosophy poison to public debating. Why does public debating matter? This seems to me like it's contesting the AF's ability to fiat the passage of whatever policy they do, right? But if I'm fiating that we give animals rights, why does it matter what people might say?
Because it's not an impact just to public debating, it's an impact to public
what is it?
Policy, the way that we actually apply the laws.
Is that we can't apply the laws. Okay, so Bruce says that rights discourse creates a ruse.
We don't agree with animal rights.
It says passivity, alienation, a sense of inevitability. Why are those bad?
Because if we're facing extinction,
also, this is
it seems like passivity kind of a bad idea.
This is talking about legal rights, correct?
Huh?
Your evidence says, the language of rights perpetuates the misconception that legal argument is independent of political argument in social movements, correct? So
it's not
about
talking
legal,
about legal rights. It's
Where
talking
does it
about
talk
the
about moral
discourse
rights,
of rights. Like
But it-
rights.
but right, no,
okay,
but-
right, no, okay.
but a
then
right-
fine, okay. So the implication, if you severed out by saying that we're only looking to like moral rights, is that we wouldn't actually be applying the policies that the app would need to do
Wait,
such
why-
to stop extinction.
Why am I severing if I'm just like, yo, animals have moral status? Why can't
Right,
it
no,
not
no,
be the
I
policy
understand. I'm saying it's talking about the implementation of said rights, right? This is like linking into the fact that you're saying we need to stop extinction, right? By considering animals. I'm talking about the consideration.
Right, so your argument is that when they consider them, what happens? It conceals the actual operations of power. What are those?
You know, sinister things. Like, basically what it talks about is like okay. Like the sinister, like the
Did you
or
read,
like
like,
bad
the last
shit.
cover?
Which one?
I'm pretty sure all you read is this one.
I think I only read this one.
Yeah, okay. Now, your little Trump thingy says that, what?
It's not little.
Like, does it working, oh, what's the status of counterpoint?
Counterpoint is dispositional if you think.
I'm not gonna run through, I just wondered if it was unconditional. I mean, if it's conditional. So, Dworkin says what?
Dworkin says rights have to be trumps on utility.
Okay, and who uses that definition?
Weinar saying that.
So
like,
Weinar, and then you
and-
reach the
and the
conclusion
other
that
one.
everyone else does.
and the other one.
Who's the other one? So
Uh,
two options,
Francione.
Francione and
Right,
Weinar.
right, no, I
both
understand.
use your definition.
No,
And
no,
that's
but
the reason why we should
they're not
say
talking about just like they're like I use the definition, therefore it's true. No, they like look at the philosophical arena and say this is how people use rights.
it. Also, your evidence just says
It's a meta study about
it's
rights.
a reason why the community as a whole would be better off if they did or did not respect that right, correct? So if I prove
What are
that
you
that's
talking about?
your evidence says if someone has a right, this means that it's for some reason wrong to act in violation of that right, even if the community. Oh, sorry, I misread. So you're making an inviolability conception of rights, basically, but you're defending util, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's why we are different.
No, right, but util doesn't give inviolable rights, correct? So what does util give?
What does util give? Util gives weighable rights. I'm saying you have to defend the definition.
Wait, so why can't I just defend it?
What?
Oh, I have to defend the definition of inviolability.
Yeah.
Wait, did you answer the AC or just read the counterplan?
Just read the counterplan and apply to his turns. I in fact didn't.
If I answered like the Trump's argument, does that answer the counterplan?
Why? Like, what do you mean? How? Like, what do you mean answer? Like, you just make arguments against Waller that doesn't affect the counterplan, right?
No. If I
Like,
answer
what do you
why
mean by
rights
answer?
aren't trumps on like communal action, does that answer the counterplan, right? Because then there would be no distinction between welfare and rights, correct?
No. Okay. So I would be competitive through net benefits. That's the point
Okay.
of competition, right?
So
Because
if
because you still use the rhetoric of rights, even if you think that they're weighable or not, and I say that that's bad, right?
Right.
Can't avoid.
And then your argument is that the meta standard is what is it?
Resolvability.
So like we have to be able to be consistent with like what people actually think, right? Essentially.
Yes, resolvability says.
Oh, then what is it? I'm just asking.
Resolvability says that we need to be able to we need to be consistent.
Right. So like an
in our-
internal
all of our
conviction,
moral-
right?
Right. I understand you're trying to align with the rhetoric of your framework, but I'm just you still have to answer the argument about why real consequentialism would still contradict in some situations.
Wait. So what are those arguments?
Right. I give you the example of we either have to prevent extinction for all species or our species, right? That would be a contradiction because real consequentialism would always say it's bad to kill another human. It would also say it is bad to kill other species, right? But if the only way to save all the other species in terms of the affirmative and the worst situation would be have human extinction, then real consequentialism would be crap. Or is that consequentialism? Who decides? Real consequentialism would definitely say it's not a good idea to murder, because that's a bad impact, bad consequence.
Wait, what are the conditions of the counterplan's dispositionality? I'm serious. Can I turn it? Will you kick it if I turn it?
If you turn it, I won't kick it.
Okay. I was thinking my dear, I just wondering.
What if I said it's dispositionality, which is actually conditionality because I can kick it any condition, it's still dispositional? Or you
I wasn't listening to what you just said.